What's going on, guys? Coolest high performance coach in the world. You know who it is, Coach Colin. And if you're looking for the absolute best insights on the podcast you love, smash that subscribe button. Let's go. We're in episode 1916 with Jon Bernthal. I'm so self-conscious about saying that name now because I messed it up so much. But we're at an hour and 52 minutes. This part of the podcast is really, really insightful. Not just Joe, but Jon as well. And they're talking about hope and inspiration and how people, if they open up about their experiences, can really end up being the catalyst for change in so many other people's lives. And we just don't realize how inspirational each one of us is. And it's not because you did some incredible thing. It's because you're a person and you've gone through life, and other people may be going through the same things that you already went through. And you went through it like a pro. And you didn't even know because you were just like, I just did what I got to do. But for them, as they go through it, they're like, I don't even know if there's a way out of this. And if they could just hear your story, they would be like, oh, okay, so there is a way out of this. You have no idea. Again, you have no idea how inspirational, how much hope that you, in your story, if you would open up and be vulnerable, how many lives that you could change. Let's get into it.
Yeah, he's got this one-man show that he wants.
Real quick, he's just talking about the president of the Hells Angels. He has a one-man show that he wants to do. So just to give you a little background of what he's talking about.
To put on that, I just can't wait to see. You know, I don't know. I'm just so, I really do. I don't mean to get all kumbaya on you, man, but I really do believe there's something about art and performance that is, you can really take. You know, it's kind of like what I was saying, you know, on a much smaller level with me and my own bullshit. You know, you can take all this stuff that's held you down, that maybe you've caused pain to people, you hurt people, you fucked up, or you disappointed your family, whatever it is, you disappointed yourself, you're an awful member. So you can use all that.
It's fuel.
Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah, it's fuel.
And you can use it to go reach people. The pain that you felt is a real adhesive, and you can latch onto them, and they can see. You know, shit, man, I've been there. Like, I've been there. And maybe you can stop them from making that huge mistake themselves. Maybe. Yeah. And, like, they're certainly not going to listen to, they're not going to listen to, you know, the Punisher. They're not going to listen to my dumb ass being like, hey, you really shouldn't do, you know. But, hey, man, here's a guy who just went down 30 years. He's coming out of Supermax. He's been where you were, you know. I mean, one of the shows we had, we had, you know, a father and son, and the father was in that life, and now the son is. And they were just talking about like what that felt like, to, you know, have the police say when he was 1 year old, you're never going to see your son again. And now that this young man, you know, Rick, he's got a little baby girl, you know, and she you know, and it's like, by talking about it and then maybe potentially putting that out into your own sort of creative forum, you know, your own creative expression, you know, maybe that will, you know, being on mission, you know, maybe that will do something.
Man, it's so true. You have no idea. And I know he's using the crazy example of like people who are coming out of like maximum pens and stuff like that, who've done like serious time. But it's not just those people. It's the regular people as well, quote unquote, regular people as well. Like, you have no idea. Like, I love the way they were talking about the way it's fuel, because it's fuel for you, what you've gone through, but you have no idea how much you will fill someone else's gas tank with your story. Again, because it's just something that makes them go, all right, like, someone's been through this. Someone's done this. It's like, you know how much, like, as a creator, as a podcaster, going to episode 1 of Joe Rogan's podcast makes you go, okay. So this is where it started. It didn't start in $1 million studio. Okay, it started in a house, and they didn't even know how to work the controls, and they had no idea what they were doing. Okay, perfect. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm on the right track. It's like, man, you have no idea how much fuel that you could give somebody, how much fuel that you could get from somebody. That's why I urge people to watch these podcasts. I urge people to take in these clips. Sit in for the 3-hour podcast. Do it. You will always walk away with something. Always, no matter who the guest is. It doesn't even have to be Joe Rogan. It could be a Howard Stern interview. It could be a Joe Rogan interview. It could be Anderson Cooper or whatever that guy is, and hair with the silver hair, that guy. It could be anybody. It could be a Mike Tyson podcast. It could be any interview. It could be Charlie Rose. It could be anybody. James Lipton. It doesn't matter. It could be anybody. You'll walk away with something. Because every person is a regular person until they become that extraordinary person that's sitting in front of the camera. Every single person. And that's you right now. Let's go.
Well, it certainly has the potential. There's certainly a door open for good, and a door open to give people a chance.
Potentially.
Yeah. Well, that's where it all comes from, right? That word potentially, that's hope. That's something. That's a window of opportunity that didn't exist previously. And I think through this intention that you have, and through this very charitable view of human beings that you have, you're projecting that, and you got to think of the hundreds of thousands of people that have watched that and taken that in, and then they can incorporate a piece of that in their own life. Like, inspiration through things like that is so vital. It's so important for people to see how a person can make these charitable decisions and make these views of people in the best possible light, and give them an example, or give them an opportunity to show their best possible self. It's so huge, man. It's like, it's one of the things that's missing in mainstream culture.
Yep.
Our culture, in terms of the way we learn about information and stories, is so polarizing. And it's just looking for bad people. It's looking for evil things, or looking for propaganda to pretend that people that are doing evil things are actually good. It's an amazing thing you're doing. It really is. I think.
And with that, with what he's saying, it is so polarizing, and it is always like, looking for bad people and negativity and this and that. And that's why I keep urging to just go and find it yourself. Don't worry about what they're putting in front of you. Find the videos. Listen closely. You know what I mean? Don't just depend on this clip that you're watching. Go and get into this whole thing, man. There's a link in the description. Go get into the actual podcast and listen to it. There's so many people. If you see a name in a podcast, you don't know the name, listen to it. If it's a name of someone that you don't like, listen to it. Find your own positivity, because the mainstream media is not giving it to you. They're not giving it to you without a fight. And the fight is you clicking through and finding it yourself and grabbing hold of those good platforms, those good channels, those good interviews, those good sound bites. You got to find that shit yourself, man. I'm telling you, you have to. Because then once you start finding it, you will keep finding it. And everybody knows the new god of the internet is the algorithm. And then more of that will be brought to you. When you keep on telling it, I like positive stuff. I like inspirational stuff. I want more inspiration. I want more hope. It'll start bringing that to you. Sorry to get so excited, but podcasts changed my life, man. I was so depressed. I was walking around. I was a teenager walking around in a grocery store during my night shift and just crying in the aisles, because I was like, I can't believe this is going to be my life. I can't believe my whole life is going to be me working in this grocery store. I can't believe it. I can't believe that this is it. This is the highest level for me. And everybody around me was negative and in the drug trade and addicted. And I was like, I can't believe this is life. And I started finding interviews of people who were walking the same path. And then I started hearing about how they broke free and how they elevated themselves. And then all of a sudden I started to think, maybe I can do that. And then I did. And now I help other people do it. And that's in you too. You don't have to stay where you are if you don't like it. You just need it. You just need examples. You just need examples of people that have pulled themselves out of the shit. But you got to find them. All right, that's it, man. I'm out. Peace.